This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Resolved. Today's resolution is capitalism is deterrent to fight against climate change. Pano understand that today as Timber farmers, we stand here to show that capitalism is a barrier, is a hindrance to the fight against climate change. And what the team negators bring out in today's debate, they try to show that capitalism is the one that is bringing up the fight of climate change. They try to talk about that it will bring up competition. But what timber farmers say about this, we say that competition will bring out exploitation of resources in a way that it will stop the government from fighting against climate change. What do we see when we talk about this? The team negators say that competition will help other industries so that they can be able to fight against climate change. But we see that if this competition is brought up, the companies only mind about the profit. That's what capitalism means. It means that if the companies mind about only profits, they will try to exploit resources so that they can be able to develop and only develop the economic growth. They're not minding about climate. Pano understand that in today's debate, they talk about economic growth, and we all know that capitalism is all about economic growth and earning profits. So it means that the companies that are the countries that are having that are capitalists, they're only minding about economic growth, not about the climate. Pano understand that the reason why we set our parameters in Nigeria is only just because that is the second vulnerable country that in capitalism. This is why that we find that it's being affected by capitalism. That's why we bring out our main arguments as profit-driven mindset. What do we mean when you talk about this? We see that when a country is in capitalism, it's only thinking about profits, not minding about the climate. This is why we find that it is affecting the climate. It doesn't care about how it will release its waste products, not how it won't mind how it will reduce its waste products, but it only mind how are we getting our profits and what are we getting from this industry. But understand that Nigerian government is trying to intervene by putting up a law in section 43 and 44 of the 1999 Constitution that provides 43 subject to the provision that every citizen of Nigeria shall have a right to acquire and own immovable property anywhere in Nigeria. This is how we find that the people in Nigeria have private sectors denied. This is how we find that the people in Nigeria have private sectors whereby the government does not need to intervene. As my dear first farmer told you what capitalism means. The government does not need to intervene. That's why we find that if it does not intervene, it means that the government does not have part, or these private sectors cannot fight against climate change. That's why we say that even if the government is trying to implement afforestation, even if the government is trying to advocate treatment of fumes, it cannot do this just because it has capitalism and it has a mindset of profit. It is driving its industry just in gaining profits, not anything else. That's where we see, for example, companies of Total, Nesto, and Shell Petroleum Development Company in Nigeria. These countries have they release greenhouse gas emissions, whereby they are affecting the climate. They are destroying the climate, leading to global warming. And how is this affecting Nigeria? That's why we find that in the northern part of Nigeria, there is drought. And in the southern part there is a drought due to the high temperature. But understand that private sectors have contributed 1.4% to the GDP of Nigeria in 2021 to 2023. This information is got from Statista Research Department on 8th August 2023. That's why we find that Nigeria is being affected by private sectors due to capitalism, and it's not fighting against climate change. So to us as team farmers, we do believe that capitalism is a hindrance, so it's a barrier to fight against climate change, even if the government is doing a lot to fight against climate change. With that, I rest my case.
Okay, I'll get started. To begin with, are the parameters. Now, the affirmative team limits the parameters to Nigeria, and I think the whole debate that is about climate and capitalism should be limited to Nigeria. And we as a negative table, we do believe that if it is a debate, you shouldn't dictate and limit the scope of climate change to only Nigeria, because this is something that is affecting the entire globe. Therefore, you can't limit the debate to Nigeria. And I think they fail out on parameters. But then to go on, when you talk about capitalism, you don't talk about Nigeria, because Nigeria is not entirely capitalistic in nature, but rather a mixed economy. So they fail out right away from the beginning. Now, they talk about Total as these are companies that are dealing with fossil fuels, and in the long run, maybe they cause environmental degradations, but we tell them that according to the World Health Report of 2016-2021, they tell us that the greenest countries are the countries that are capitalistic in nature. Talk about France, talk about Denmark, and USA. They talk about Total, and this is a company that initially originates from France, but France has been regarded as the greenest country, which is capitalistic nature in the world. So what you're thinking about is that rest please, I'll come to you. What you're talking about is that they talk about competition, but we tell them this competition is extremely healthy in these countries that are capitalistic in nature because it brings about innovativeness. And switching out from the fossil fuels and going to the renewable resources just because these people are profit-oriented. So what is on market right now is that people and most countries are interested in things that protect the environment, are interested in the green production and the alternatives. Now, these people, due to competition and being profit-oriented, they specifically look at things that are going to be having market. So what is prevailing today, each and every country, each and every organization is advocating for climate change, is advocating for things that can protect the environment. So what is on market right now are the things that are environmental friendly. We have seen people switching from polythene bags going to paper bags. We have people looking at things that can really protect the environment. So capitalistic countries or capitalistic nature, them being profit-oriented and being competitive in everything, so they are switching these fossil fuels that are ideally very expensive and going to renewable resources that are always constant so that they can maximize their profits. And now that production of these paper bags and things that are environmental friendly, that now the globe and the entire world is interested in the things that are ideally environmental friendly. So these people that are capitalistic in nature who look at the profits and opportunities, they have now shifted from using these fossil fuels that are not being advocated for. They are now going to things that are being demanded in the environment and the world, which are environmental friendly. So hence helping the protection of the environment. I'll take your POI, please. Let it be first.
Did you hear the first farmer say that Nigeria is 50% capitalistic?
But you're not looking at 50% capitalistic because they told us that Nigeria is entirely capitalistic and they are debating capitalism. So now they are contradicting, talking about the 50%, though we don't know where that comes from. I think, our dear judges, you can be extra keen on that. Thanks, Honorable. Now, looking at that, we are looking at countries or areas that are capitalistic in nature. They provide sustainable solutions to effects of climate change. We earlier told you that these people who are capitalistic in nature in the world that you are living in, fossil fuels like petrol and oil are highly expensive. So people who look at profit maximization, they don't look at things that are highly expensive and unreliable. Therefore, they choose to go to the renewable resources because they know that are reliable and they look at maximizing profits. I think you see how now the countries that are capitalistic in nature are really shifting from the things that are environmental, that are dangerous to the environment and shifting the renewable resources because the fossil fuels are expensive and they are unreliable. And these people are capitalistic who look at maximizing profits, who look at who are very competitive in nature. They don't look at that. They specifically look at things that are going to promote profits, which are the renewable resources that help in the protection of the environment. I rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.